Welcome back to New Rockstars. This is the big question, the show that gives you too much information about how there are infinite versions of you in infinite universes and how all those infinite versions still lie awake at night thinking about that embarrassing time in the 3rd grade when you called it infinite versions of your teacher, Mom! Because it happened and people laughed and laughed. They wouldn't stop laughing. My name is MT and I'm here today with the wonderful, amazing, and super smart, hilarious Marina Mastros. What's going on, Marina?
Hey, I think we all have that memory.
But we all do it because, like, we are always around our teachers, like, 5 days a week. And, like, they're usually women, and they're usually very kind. So it's just like, hey, Mom, it just slips out.
And like, then you have to go comatose.
Right? And then do, a decade of therapy, which is what I had to do. But, yes, hit me with that big question, Marina. Let's get into it.
Okay, MT, I'm confused. Between the Marvel movies and the streaming series, we've had a lot of terms and concepts thrown our way, specifically related to things that make up realities, right? So like dimensions, universes, timelines, everything like that. So we figured it was time to address this big question. In the MCU, what is the difference between timelines, universes, realities, realms, dimensions, and planes?
Wow. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Jeez, I feel like I have to have a degree in like quantum physics to know the MCU multiverse, because good God, it's very confusing.
A lot.
But you are exactly right. There are a lot of ways the MCU has come to explain reality in terms that relate to time and space. So let's go through the major examples of each and see if we can get some definitions in place that make sense. If we can. I don't know if that's possible.
We can do it.
We can do it. We got to believe in ourselves. Believe! So let's begin by defining timeline, since that is the term at the top of everyone's mind at the end of Loki. So in the show, we saw how the TVA worked at the behest of He Who Remains, aka Jonathan Majors, to maintain a secret timeline. And they would prune any variants that they saw as a threat to the secret timeline in an effort to prevent any branch timelines from forming. As, as you should, as anyone should, because, you just got to keep a nice, tidy timeline with you. I like to think he Who Remains.
It's a hedge cutter?
Hey, hedge cutter's like...
Yeah.
And then everyone else is like, Dinkleberg. Anyway, the head writer for Loki, Michael Waldron, very great guy, got to talk to him. Very, just really cool, chill dude. Recently did an interview with Screen Crush where he explained just how he and his team envisioned how time and timelines worked. Because thank you, Michael Waldron. He's just a nice man who does nice things like that. He described time as always happening and that there are infinite instances of time always occurring at once. So if you recall in the final episode of Loki, we see the Citadel at the end of time surrounded by a big old white ring around the castle. And it's not a straight line, but an infinite loop. I'm going to explain what he means by basically paraphrasing the example he gave in the interview. So Marina, you and I, right now, are doing Big Question. Are we not? Yes or no?
Yes.
So right now, in the present, that is what we are doing. But there's also an instance of us having this conversation 10 seconds ago. But there's also an instance of us talking 10 seconds from now, because that is how time works. It's pretty crazy.
Right.
If we don't explode in like the next 9 seconds.
Right.
So, you have these 3 instances, and they each could be their own separate timelines. For the most part, they're all the same, and they all follow the same trajectory. But each instance could have its own tiny fluctuation. So, in this conversation, 5 times out of 10, I would say, welcome to Big Question, Marina. And then 4 times out of 10, I might say, I'm here on Big Question with my favorite guest, Marina. But in one of those instances out of 10, I might say, I don't want to do Big Question with Marina anymore. I hate Marina. She's the worst person that ever lived. That is obviously evil MT.
Not the first time that's happened.
So that would really deviate from the normal path this Big Question would take, and you would probably kill me for being such a jerk, because, rightfully so. And thus, a branch timeline would be formed from that really dramatic event. So when we talk about the sacred timeline, it was actually a bunch of timelines bundled together, like similar to like a fiber optic cord, if you ever worked at Comcast or something,
Yeah, which I have,
Our big Comcast Verizon cable installer people.
Yeah.
It's a big chunk of our audience, 80%.
They're like, finally I get the call out I deserve.
So similar to a fiber optic cord, which looks like just one cord, but if you were to cut it in half, you would see it's actually made up of many tiny strands of wire bundled together. So the TVA was tasked with monitoring the sacred timeline, so it maintained a condition where He Who Remains was in charge in the Citadel at the end of time. And any variants that would cause a branch timeline were pruned, thus preserving the sacred timeline. And they kept this bundle of timelines all moving in the same direction to provide the desired outcome. So, let us discuss the TVA and pruning for just one moment. Will you let me do that? Will you let me do that, Marina?
Go ahead, sir.
Permission granted. Okay, so when a variant did something that contradicted with the plan for the sacred timeline, the variant would be pruned by stopping the variant in its deviations before their timeline crossed that red line threshold. Their branch timeline would not grow enough to establish a new reality. So when the TVA would prune a variant, it allowed the main timeline to merge back in with the standard timeline. Remember, those reset charges didn't blow up everything. They just removed the elements they had deviated from the sacred timeline.
Oh, that actually makes more sense because, I mean, not that I'm not a genius, I'm not, but like watching it, it's like, okay, yeah, they reset that. How does that make it, how does that force it not to make a branch? But it's just the parts that are deviating. So it just bundles back into itself, or it doesn't have enough of a difference to create its own timeline, I guess.
And also, you are a genius. To give yourself a little bit more credit, okay? We all geniuses here, all right? That's why we get paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
All poets and geniuses.
I'm definitely getting paid at least one big buck.
I'm living out of a box with a can of a Chef Boyardee.
Yeah, this is a cardboard house. These are cardboard walls.
So, in the final episode of Loki, we saw how the sacred timeline began to branch and split into different multiverses. If you missed it, I don't know what you were doing. You were probably not watching Loki. You were probably doing Disney Plus and Thrust. Don't do it. Pay attention to the MCU. Anyway, the bundle of timelines had come undone, and now the branch timelines were allowed to grow, no longer being pruned by the Time Variance Authority. Because remember, this happens before He Who Remains is killed by Sylvie. So it must be something that was allowed to happen. So this means the MCU is now full of way more branch timelines than ever before. It's going to be mad. It's going to be madness. A multiverse of madness.
Very nice segue.
It's what I do. It's what I do.
You know, slipped it in there.
Let's talk universes and reality. So, how do timelines compare to universes? So, in the beginning of the final episode of Loki, when we hear the cacophony of voices, we zoom out from our solar system and through our galaxy to see our entire universe contained within a black hole. And it's right next to another black hole that we then zoom into. And these two black holes show us an example of two universes. Later in that same episode, He Who Remains shows us how a Kang variant discovered universes stacked on top of his own, like a Krabby Patty, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like that's the original stack, the Krabby Patty.
Our whole universe was in a
patty on a bun with lettuce, cheese, onions, tomatoes, ketchup, mustard, pickles, and top bun together in that order.
And then if you have a Pog, then you can flip it and you get whichever universe's turnover.
Exactly.
Do you know what Pogs are? Am I the only one who's that old?
So these looked very similar to the black hole universes we saw at the beginning of the episode. Each universe has a Kang making the same discovery. So he also says the peace between realities erupted like a volcano. So this shows us that the universes and realities are similar concepts in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay.
So within each universe or reality, you have a bundle of infinite timelines capable of creating their own variants and branch timelines.
Okay,
it's kind of weird.
No,
Okay,
that actually makes sense now.
Thank you. Like, no one thinks I make sense, but at least Marina does, you know? So to use Loki as an example, we have our Loki from one universe or reality, Sylvie from another universe, Alligator Loki from another universe, a better universe than ours, definitely, Classic Loki, Kid Loki, etc., etc., etc. And all the Lokis we saw on the show were variants of a Loki from their own universe or reality. Plus, even though these variants were pruned, their unpruned counterparts that they are variants of still go on existing on a different timeline. So that means while we saw Alligator Loki in the Void, there is still an Alligator Loki in its own timeline within a universe that didn't eat the wrong neighbor's cat and cause a Nexus event. My head hurts, I'm going to have a stroke.
interior crocodile alligator.
So let's dive into What If, because within the recent premiere of the What If series, we now need to figure out where these episodes fit. So are they branch timelines or are they their own universal loops of times? Because at the beginning of the first episode, the Watcher says a single choice can branch out into infinite realities, creating alternate worlds from the ones that you know. So it would appear that the What If episodes are those branch timelines formed when a variant makes a drastic change from what would normally happen. So if you think back to our previous example of Marina and I having the 10 instances of our conversation, the What If episodes are like the 1 out of 10 choice that greatly deviates from the norm. And the different choice is so drastic, it creates its own branch reality, similar to one of those branches that we saw represented when the sacred timeline started to split into those different strands. Now, let us figure out how dimensions and realms fit into all of this weird cacophony of bullshit. Okay, so we have had different examples of both dimensions and realms in the MCU before everything we thought we knew got smashed into smithereens in Loki, because the Thor film introduced the concept of the 9 realms. In these places, like Midgard, Jotunheim, Asgard, etc., these all appear to be real physical places that exist in different galaxies within the universe. Because as we see in, Guardians 2, Rocket and Yondu and all of them were just bumping across the universe, and we see them swoop past the rock people, the Cronins, from the Thor movies. So, like, you're able to travel. If you just had a ship, you could just travel to each realm.
Right, okay. So realms are just kind of like continents.
Yeah, basically, like sort of like regions.
Really far away. Yeah. Space.
Yeah.
They're space continents.
That's actually a really good way to think about it. Yeah, the realms are just continents.
Realms
That's
are
really
just
good.
Space continents.
Who says you're not a genius, Marina?
Not me anymore.
But then we have the quantum realm. And this is a little bit crazier than the 9 realms, because we know to access the quantum realm, we have to shrink down to a subatomic level, because that's what quantum means. Quantum deals with the subatomic particles that just don't make sense. And time also operates very differently in the quantum realm, as do many other things. And it's through the quantum realm that Tony is able to unlock the secrets of time travel. So really, the quantum realm operates more like a dimension, or like sort of like a dimension that acts as a pathway. And the dimensions in the MCU appear to exist between universes. For example, when describing the dark dimension where Dormammu resides, Wang says that the dark dimension exists beyond time. And he also says that Dormammu wants to invade every universe, so that would also support the idea that the dark dimension exists outside of any one universe. And there are other dimensions mentioned in the MCU as well, such as the mirror dimension and the astral dimension. So far, they have only been accessed by practitioners of the mystic arts, but that just stands to support that the idea that dimensions exist in between universes. They're less physical locations. They're just, just right between those universes, you know what I'm saying?
Because they're all around us and they like operate differently. And so what if it's like you're looking at a picture and it's like you put a green like filter on it and it's like taking up the same space.
Right.
It exists in the same space, but it's like functioning differently. It's like a different, like it's occupying the same space. Like there's another Marina right here, but she doesn't talk like me, and she like is separate. She like her limbs are separate from her body, and it's like she's a fish or something. It's like totally weird.
But she's like layered on.
But it's still right here. Yeah, it's just like
I know exactly what you're saying. It's just a really weird concept.
Yeah. But like if there are any physicists, like I don't know why a physicist would listen to this, but if there are any, they're probably just like screaming like, Marina, it's so stupid.
You're stupid.
Your best try was so bad.
No, I feel like physicists are learning from us. I think that we're actually making the laws of physics.
And you're welcome to publish this in your next paper. Dimensions are like green filters that you put in a picture.
So, one more thing. The Guardians of the Galaxy were hired to stop an Abilis from eating the Anulax batteries of the Sovereign. The Abilis is described as an interdimensional being. Therefore, it has the ability to pass from a dimension into our universe, feeding on whatever power source it is drawn through. And it is possible that the Abilis could access multiple universes, not just ours. So, it could eat Draxes in every universe, because Draxes are quite delicious, I hear. That sounds pretty, not to cut that out. I don't want that on the internet.
Why?
No, but what's funny is that in What If, there are actually these tentacled monsters that Captain Carter fights at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
And so I believe that there is a link between the Abilis from Guardians 2 and these tentacled creatures, as they are both, seem to be both interdimensional travelers on the interdimensional highway.
Yeah, the interdimensional rivers. Yeah.
The rivers. Like planes. Now let's talk about planes. My favorite Disney Pixar franchise. Why did they make that franchise? I don't know. It's a really hot take. I know the plane community is going to be like, yo, what the man? So the best example of a plane is the astral plane that we see in Black Panther, of course.
Yeah.
So while the rules of the ancestral plane may be bound by Wakandan mysticism, it appears to function very much like an astral dimension, similar to the one that we saw Doctor Strange in Doctor Strange. The astral dimension is a place where the soul can exist separate from the body. So in this case, the ancestral plane could be a dimension within our universe, rather than a dimension that exists between universes. So we don't see former Black Panthers from other universes in the ancestral plane when we see it in Black Panther, just the ones from our universe. So it's just localized to our universe there. We've discussed realities already, but what about pocket realities? So the best example of this would be the hex created by Scarlet Witch in WandaVision. Very big pocket reality there. And this is a reality that exists within the larger Marvel Universe reality. And as we saw, the hex can affect things outside of its borders, and it was able to make the cops not even realize that the town of Westview was right there. Like, there's literally a sign right there. And they're like, what? There's only Eastview. I've never heard of Westview. What? East High Nights. That's what we do. High School Musical. Bet on it? Bet on it? That's a bop. That's a bop right there.
That's still a bop.
Bet on it, bet on it, bet on... Oh, okay, I'm not going to sing again. All right, sorry. Anyway, so pocket realities can exist within larger realities and not be their own separate universes. In conclusion, so we've covered a lot of terms and concepts here, and my brain is fried. So, I'm so sorry, my brain. But I think that we've done a good job of putting some definitions in place. On the grandest scale, you have universes and or realities, and within each universe or reality, you have infinite timelines. And these timelines can create branches, and these branches can intersect. And that's basically everything. So, but also in between those universes, you have dimensions, and within each universe, you can have realms, planes, or dimensions, and pocket realities. So hopefully that all helps you wrap your head around the ever-growing craziness of the MCU, but, well, at least until Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness comes along and makes things even more confusing, because why would they make it easy for us? Why? Why?
Why? Why? Why? Why? Why?
I mean, that would mean that they loved us or something. What?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
So, that is it for our first question. But before we continue on with the video, you should check out our most recent addition to our latest Obsession line of shirts inspired by the Suicide Squad, a magnificent movie. You should see it. Now, we've got a limited supply of those, so be sure to grab each one before the tiny bomb inside your brain explodes. We've also got a really cool King Shark Jaws-inspired shirt that is subtle in the same way our recent Loki Gator polo shirt was. And it's a great way to support the channel and all the awesome content that we produce. So please head on over at newrockstarsmerch.com, and we love you. And before we dive into our bite-sized questions next, some words from the folks that help bring Big Question to you. Folks like Coinbase.
So, let me ask you a question. Do you identify as crypto curious? Because if you've ever...
A little bit. I'll never tell.
I'm a little bit curious. Well, let me tell you, if you've ever been curious, if you've ever thought about entering the world of cryptocurrency but felt a little overwhelmed, which is totally reasonable, Coinbase makes learning to buy and sell really simple. Coinbase offers a trusted and easy-to-use platform to buy, sell, and spend cryptocurrency. They support the most popular digital currencies on the market and make them accessible to everyone, even me. They offer portfolio management and protection, learning resources, and a mobile app so you can trade securely and monitor your crypto all in one place. Millions of people in over 100 countries trust Coinbase with their digital assets. Whether you're looking to diversify, just getting started, or searching for a better way to access crypto markets, start today with Coinbase. For a limited time, new users can get $5 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today at coinbase.com/bigquestion. Sign up at coinbase.com/bigquestion for $5 in free Bitcoin. Oh my God.
$5.
This, guys, this offer is for a limited time only, so be sure to sign up today. That's coinbase.com/bigquestion.
Excellent ad read, Marina. But
Thanks.
Now it is time for our bite-sized question, and I have a question for you, Marina. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Marina, can a Skrull shapeshift into an animal? And this is from King Prawn Spawn on Twitter. Thank you, King Prawn.
King Prawn Spawn. That's a hard... King Prawn
Spawn. Say that 5 times fast. Ready? Go. King Prawn Spawn. King Prawn Spawn. King Prawn Spawn.
I literally could do it one time. Oh my God. But that is actually a really good question. And the answer is yes. But the more elaborative answer is that it has been established in Marvel Comics that Skrulls can, in fact, shapeshift into animals. The best example of this are the infamous Skrull Cows, okay?
Right.
Yes, I do mean cow, like the udder kind.
Moo moo.
Yep, moo moo. So way back in Fantastic Four #2 from 1961, some Skrulls came to Earth as part of a planned invasion, okay? And in the end, they're thwarted by the Fantastic Four and they run back to Skrullos. However, 3 of the Skrulls are left behind on Earth. So Reed Richards, in order to safely lock them away, hypnotizes them into thinking they are cows, which is maybe the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow.
And leaves them in a pasture. He just leaves them in a nice pasture to peacefully graze away their remaining existence. And like, there's really nice pastures along the PCH, right? And I hope it's on one of those. Yeah, it's like really like, and they have a sign that says watch for falling cows, because there's cows that graze on the mountains, but it's like right by the cliffs. So sometimes the cows fall down.
Oh no!
I know.
And they have to make signs for falling cows.
They literally have signs that say watch for falling cows.
Road slippery when wet with cow blood.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Literally.
What the hell?
And technically, I guess, one of those cows that maybe has fallen down could have been a Skrull.
It's true. Statistically.
According to my calculations.
It can happen.
Oh my God. But these Skrulls, maybe not, because they didn't remain as cows forever. They eventually break free, right, of their bovine imprisonment, and attack. They attack the Avengers, but then they get captured and turned back into cows again.
Again. Again. Nothing new, nothing changed, same old shit. Same old shit.
Bro, how do you take the same terrible L twice?
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna get turned into a cow 2 times in your life?
Dude, they lost. And it stated out, it did not turn into a lesson. They just did the L twice.
Wow.
So the Skrull Cows would also play a role in the creation of the Skrull Kill Crew in the mid-90s. One of the Skrull Cows was, oh my God, this is so sad. Okay, this is, if you thought that them being turned into cows was like sad a little bit, this is even worse, because one of the Skrull Cows was butchered and turned into a hamburger.
What?
Yeah, it was turned into a hamburger, and some of the people who ate the meat, the hamburger meat, got the Skrull's adaptable DNA code and they got the code transferred into their bodies, giving them shape-shifting abilities, as well as an intense fear and hatred of the Skrulls. But this condition was called Skrullivoria, and that induced Skrullophobia.
Naturally, yes.
And this whole thing, this whole concept, which is wild, by the way, was based on the very real mad cow disease thing that happened in the 90s in the beef industry, which is like a real thing. So they were just like, what if we did this with Skrull stuff and you just like eat a Skrull hamburger and then you you go nuts? It's so wild. It's so wild.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm not loving this. I'm not loving this story.
Oh my God. I know, I'm so sorry. But on a separate note, in Infinity #1 from 2013, we see actually a cat shift back into a Skrull. So not only can Skrulls turn into cows, but apparently it can be other animals too, because they were a cat at one point. But we'll have to wait and see if any Skrulls wind up turning into animals in the MCU, or like on your dinner plate as a burger.
If you didn't already mistrust cats before, here's an even bigger reason to mistrust cats.
For
It could be an alien.
Yeah.
And they could want to, take over your life and stab you, probably. Anyway, so let's go to our second bite-sized question. This comes from a Gabo Shabo on Twitter. A lot easier to say. Gabo Shabo. What are some of the more obscure force powers in the Star Wars universe?
What a great question. So over the years, we have seen a variety of force powers used by both Jedi and Sith. We're all pretty familiar with the common ones like force lightning, telekinesis, and mind tricks. But actually, if you start digging into the Legends canon, you find that there are some pretty interesting force powers out there. So here's some just like odd ones that we came across. Electric Judgment. Okay, so it's basically...
Wow, that's the name of my band.
I know! It's a really good... It is a really good band name. So this is basically the Jedi's version of Force Lightning, but usually the lightning is only utilized by Sith, right? However, Jedi can use a less evil version of the lightning that they call Electric Judgment, opening up for Coldplay.
Oh my God.
In 2022.
Everyone get vaccinated so we can see Electric Judgment open up for Coldplay.
Oh my God. It's okay. So the Electric Judgment is usually Jedis can use it without tapping into the dark side of the Force. It's usually a different color, and I guess maybe it's like less painful. The Sith think Electric Judgment is like lame, and they might be right on that one a little bit.
So you said it was a less evil version of lightning.
Yeah.
I've never heard that sentence before in my life. What is a less evil version? Like, oh, I just got hit by lightning, but it was a little less evil.
It's less evil than Sith lightning, you know. Because they use Sith lightning to, like, you know, kill you and stuff. But Jedi or electric judgment is more like, what if you just got warm for a minute? What if you just...
I like to think that Benjamin Franklin was out there with the kite, and when it got struck, it was like, whoa, this lightning is kind of good. I think this is good lightning. This is not evil lightning. This is some good lightning.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure that's what happened. Another kind of cute power is Deadly Sight. Very cute. This is actually a Sith power, so it's not cute. Take back what I said.
It's not cute.
It's not cute. Anyone within the Sith's field of vision will be burned alive and disintegrated by the use of Deadly Sight. It's way cooler than just like force choking. It's kind of like Superman's key vision, but like bigger and just like all at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're totally right. This is not cute. It's sexy. It's sexy.
Okay, so this one's really cool. This is called Plant Surge, and it's a light side force power. Plant Surge, it does just what it sounds like, which is allows the wielder to make plants grow really fast and utilize them in battle. You could wrap up your target in vines and branches, very like Nightmare on Elm Street or like Freddy Krueger, stuff like that. But this is an eco-friendly version, and it's a nice version. So if you're a Jedi and you're going to use this power, like don't be in the Mojave Desert because there's like not that many plants around. But if you're in an arboretum, you're all set. Okay, so another one is called cryokinesis. If you're a Jedi, you can do this and it makes things colder. That's it. You can't like manipulate ice or anything, but you could theoretically make your target like die of hypothermia if you really needed to. Or just like experience the temperature that exists in every movie theater that I've been in.
It's true. It's very cold.
Cool. We also have Malacia. I think that's how you say it. Malacia. If the internet wants to correct me, go ahead. This will not be the first time. So this is a force power where you make your target very dizzy and nauseated. And it sounds kind of lame, but have you ever tried to fight someone when you were throwing up? You can't. So it's actually not that lame.
True.
Just like imagine if you're fighting Darth Vader and then you made him barf all in his own helmet, like you basically win.
No one would respect him ever again.
It sounds like a dumb power, but it's when your opponent wears a helmet, it's pretty clutch. Okay, this is the last one. This is Force Scream.
I scream, you scream, we all scream for Force Scream.
Force Scream. We did see this one in Revenge of the Sith. So when Darth Vader woke up in his new half-robot body and found out Padme was dead, and he was like, no! You may have forgotten that when he did that cry of regret, the droids and equipment around him were damaged. That's because it wasn't
squeezed.
He wasn't just crying just like normally. That was a full-on Force Scream. So the weirdest thing about Force Screams though is that they are involuntary, so you can't intend to do it. You just have to like have a lot of emotions and then it just happens.
So this is why Jedi don't have sex, huh? I think this is it. I think this is the reason. We figured it out. It's the Force Scream.
Honestly.
You never know.
There are more like weird force powers out there, but those are the coolest ones that we could find, the most relevant ones.
Yes.
So if you know of a force power that we missed, come to the internet and yell at me about it. I can take
Also,
it.
if you know how to pronounce Malaysia, go for it. Now it's time for my favorite segment of the show, the Box of Scraps.
Box of Scraps.
So you better play that goofy Box of Scraps that you did last week.
Box of scraps.
Here is today's Box of Scraps question. If you could control one type of animal, like Ratcatcher from Suicide Squad, what animal would you like to control?
Here's my answer, and it's based on real science. I would control a chimpanzee or a gorilla, or all of them, I guess, or whatever. If Ratcatcher gets to control all rats, then I'm gonna control all like gorillas or chimpanzees. Okay, and here's why. Large apes, this is real, okay? They are 10 times as strong as a grown man. So basically, I would have control of literal super strength creatures. They can, like, apes can rip your limbs off. Like they can walk up to you, pick up your leg and rip off your foot. Just like, boop, they can just pop your bones apart.
They're just feeling like it, you know? Wow.
Because they just feel like it. And also, because that stuff is real, also, chimp, like highly intelligent apes and stuff, they're capable of lying to you. So just for I've always been afraid of them because of that, because they can just like make stuff up. Like, you know how they have like, they're
gonna be talking shit, spreading fake rumors. I can't trust those chimpanzees.
You literally can't trust a gorilla, and they like know sign language. They're capable of learning sign language, and they can like lie to you in sign language. It is so scary. Wow. And so just for my own personal like fear-based answer, I want to be able to control them so that they're not so terrifying. Because even at the zoo, I'm like, I don't trust this. I don't trust this. I'm not going to lean over the edge. I'm not going to throw food in there. I don't like it. They're too much. They're basically as smart as us, but 10 times as strong, and I don't like it.
Oh, yes. Oh, man. Have you seen the newer Planet of the Apes movies?
Yeah.
Literally, they can literally take over the planet.
That's what
Smart,
I'm saying.
Freaking animals. Like,
and if I could control them, then I could take over the planet.
And then you would be the Marina Master of the world. Is that the first thing you're going to do when you take over the world? Just stand on the highest mountain.
I did it.
Well, that is a good one. That's actually a very smart answer, because like they're basically like junior humans, essentially. That will
so
you
scary,
up.
So
they
scary.
Will you up easy.
Yeah.
What would I choose? I would probably choose something really stupid. You know what? I think I'm gonna say dogs, even though it's just a really.
No, oh my god! You could control everybody's pet.
Exactly. I would tell all the dogs to turn against their owners so that I could be their owner. Exactly. This is how the Avengers come to fight me. This is how I become the supervillain.
But you could like take over countries that way, because everybody has a pet, and you could like any world leader, like Biden has a dog, couple of dogs. Dude!
Mm-hmm. It's like Secret Invasion for dogs.
Yo!
Secret Invasion Bark Edition.
You could like seriously do some damage, like controlling everybody's dog, just because everybody trusts their dog too.
Exactly. Man's best friend. Until someone comes and controls him.
Wow, that's really good.
I think we're making a movie right now. Yeah. I think this is what's happening.
I would watch that. Wow. I just realized how vulnerable we all are.
We keep trusting those guys. They're licking their assholes, but like they're licking their assholes maliciously.
Yeah.
You never know. They're planning. They're plotting.
They could give us all pink eye.
That's the true plot. That's the end game. Well, that is it for this episode of Big Question. Thank you, of course, to Marina Mastros for joining us. You can follow her on Twitter at Marina Mastros. And you can, of course, follow me at MasterTainment on Twitter. I tweet a lot of weird shit. Subscribe to New Rockstars wherever we are, especially on YouTube. And when you do, please hit that bell so you can get notifications whenever we upload a video, which is fairly constantly, because we love you and we can't stop. We have a problem. Just kidding. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.